The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Earnestly podcast coming to you April 23rd, 2023. How you guys doing? On this beautiful Sunday morning. Again, another Sunday pod. Again, I should say, like, it's been kind of cool to be able to include Sundays now as a option to do podcasts. Yeah, I'm home with my kids, but the kids get a little older, and they are now getting to the age where they can entertain themselves, where I can get away with not a marathon, and I try to do guests, especially on Sundays now. If I'm going to do a podcast, rather to be a solo one. So I don't want to have a guest on the show while my kids are here. Then out of nowhere, while I'm having a conversation with guest on the show, one of my kids comes in here and asks me to make them a snack or make them this, or they just interrupt out of nowhere. At least with a solo show, I can control the environment to some degree. So it's good to have Sundays an option now. As I said, kids are getting older now. More things are opening up now for me, my personal life, to be able to do certain things and whatnot. So it's a good thing. It's a really good thing. So I got a couple NBA items I want to get to in a second too on the show, but I wanted to share a story of my recent blood sugar spike that happened 2 days ago. You guys know I've been saying for the last month, 2 months now on the show that I've been officially a type 2 diabetic, and one of the things that I got to do is to check my blood sugar every so often. I check it every day. Friday, and for records, things have been good. It's been really good, so I'm not complaining about anything. But Friday, and this is another tradition my wife and I have really I've started doing again. With our schedules being a little topsy-turvy as it is, we are not that we're limited on time to spend together, but there are days in the week between Tuesday and half of Thursday where I don't really see her. Like, I'll see her in the morning for a few minutes. I go to work on Tuesday, and then she's gone for a day until, pretty much the next day. And then I work Wednesday morning, she works Wednesday night. So pretty much heading off the kids to each other. And then Thursdays, she's at work in the morning, and I'm home all day. So I don't really get to spend time with her until Thursday night. Thursday nights, I technically do my wrestling podcast, Take the Wrestling, with my friends Joe, Mike, and Jim, and to have that too as well. So Fridays is the kind of day now where Friday mornings we've really made it a mission now to use that as a date day in a sense. We have breakfast together. We go to our favorite local dinery, Bagels and have like a breakfast in the morning every Friday now. It's pretty much a habit now we've adopted every Friday. So Friday this week, we went this week, and I decided to go nuts. I've been eating relatively well. I've been watching the carbs, and I don't eat late. I've been intermittent fasting, so a lot of things have fallen into place in that way. Friday morning, though, however, I decided to go a little ham. So for the first time since I've been on this mission and this journey of better health, I decided to go ham a little bit. So I ended up ordering a big breakfast, which I normally don't do that. I'm normally a pretty, not that I'm a small eater at breakfast, but I like to, I don't eat too much food. One of the things I've improved on 30 years, even before my diagnosis, is that my portion control has gotten much better. Like, I used to be so easy to eat and to my heart's content, and to the point of comfort. And in hindsight, I hate that. But I did go a little ham on on Friday, so I ordered a pancakes with pancakes with bagels and eggs. Now I had sugar-free syrup, so that was good, and I was full. I ate that, I was full. So I eat that big breakfast with my wife. We had a good time. I go to work for a day. Then about sometime in the middle of the day, one of the our coworkers, security guards at my job, he brings in a massive platter of food. We're talking chicken, we're talking wings, macaroni and cheese, some of these bomb-ass baked beans, bratwurst, you name it. It was a fantastic platter. You know me. I see food, but I'm like, oh my God. Why? So I ended up taking I'm getting some for myself, eating that. And that was great. And granted, I was still kind of full from the breakfast, but, I'm thinking, well, it's still early in the day, eat the bad carbs now while I could, and then wean off throughout the rest of the day. That's worked for me, actually. But then, about 2 hours later, one of my customers brings in for me, and he knows I love this too, especially. He brings in a Jamaican beef patty with cocoa bread. Now, if you guys don't know about cocoa bread is a bread. It's a lot of bread. It's a lot of bread. You put inside the patty inside of it. It's like a sandwich, and you eat it, obviously. But the bread is very, very bread-like. It's a lot of bread. And I selfishly said, you know what? I'm going to eat that to top off my day. Man, I got home after I ate the whole thing. I got home about an hour and a half later. My stomach was out of whack. I felt like crap the rest of the night. I was very gluttonous, and I figured, you know what? If I check my blood sugar, it's going to spike. So, if you guys don't know about blood sugar, normally the doctors always say they want to keep you before fasting hours, but during fasting hours, if you're between 100 120, that's good. Between 90 and 120 is good. And if you're after eating and you check sugar again within 2 hours after you eat, as long as you're between 120 140, you're fine. Check my sugar late at night. My wife was like, check your sugar. I just want to see where you're at. Check my sugar, and it did spike, and it spiked in a massive way. It was 221. And I know where that came from. That came directly from that bread I ate. Obviously, some of the food also on the front end, but that cocoa bread with patties, with the Jamaican patty, is what did me in. So I'm like, oh my God. And I felt so discouraged. I felt like crap because I've been doing very well on my blood sugar. Ever since I started testing it and eating better, I haven't gone over 100 and I haven't gone over 200 and since starting this damn thing. I've been on a decline. I mean, I was, in fact, a couple of days ago, I marked out at 102 actually, and then 106. So last week I did 102 at one point, which is really, really good, and then 106 I think a couple of days ago. So I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. So I went to sleep, whatever. My stomach was still in pain. I went to sleep, whatever. Wake up yesterday morning, and I say, you know what? Let me check my sugar again. So the good thing about this, all this stuff, is that even when I was eating like crap on Friday, I was still drinking water. Now, water is actually probably the biggest foundation of all. Like to me, I'm in the spot right here of being diabetic because of the liquids mostly. Obviously, bad carbs are bad, but at least the body has a chance to break down food with carbs. Even if you eat a piece of cake. Cake is bad for you, obviously, but cake gets broken down at least. Liquid, however, if you drink a soda, for example, in my case, a soda, or a juice that's heavy with sugar, of course, it spikes your insulin right immediately at that. It spikes your sugar immediately. There's nothing to break down. It's liquid. So the good thing is that I've been drinking water. Even though eating that crap, I was drinking water around it. So I made sure, during my fasting hours even my stomach was killing me, I stayed drinking water. I stay hydrated. So yesterday morning, I woke up, decided to take my sugar, and my sugar went down to 117. I'm like, holy crap. So I had this massive spike that happened on Friday evening. And then literally 8 9 hours later, I take my test again. I'm down to 117. I'm like, holy crap, this is crazy. Now, obviously, a large part of what's happening here too is I'm also on medication, so the metformin that's helping. So it helps lower my sugar, which is good. So, and I'll be honest with you, man. I've been ever since I've been on the metformin. I'm still eating healthy or whatnot, but I haven't been as strict as I probably was in the first month of this. Because I think now that I know that the metformin's working, I've been able to not be as strict, but I'm sticking to the basics. I'm sticking to the waters. I'm sticking to the fasting. I'm watching my carbs. I do eat. If I eat heavier carbs, I eat that in the morning, first thing in the morning. Get that out of the way because that's how I'm at maximum. And I'm actually my fasting hours actually changed now. Like remember I was telling you guys, my nutritionist was saying that he wants me to stop eating at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now while I can't do that, I have managed to shift it closer to 3 o'clock. I managed to shift it from 11 to 7 to somewhat 9 to 5-ish. Although it's a little bit flexible. I'll eat at 6. I'm still hungry. But I managed to shift it more to where it's earlier and earlier. So that's a win there too, especially because it allows my body to get to rest, especially in my fasting hours, my sleeping hours, where it's doing nothing about burning all the fat and everything else in my system. So it's crazy though, like that massive spike on Friday, to 221. I haven't been graded in 200s in well over a month since I've been on this thing, and then now I'm back down to 117. So the meds are working, obviously, the sugars are lowering, but it goes to show you though, paying attention to things, and it's one of those things where, like, I was like, wow, this is crazy, this is a whole new world for me. Like, this whole thing of watching a blood sugar and all that. You hear about it, but my whole life has been, ignorance is bliss. I just whatever happens. I don't pay attention to that until I have to, and now I have to. But it's good. It's good that got back normal again. This morning I checked again. This morning my sugar this morning was I think it was like 120 this morning. Yeah, 120. So that's still pretty good. I want to get a little lower. My goal is to get out under 100 to like the 90s. That'd be great. I'm almost there. So gotta keep with the water. Gotta keep with watch my carbs and watch what I eat and how early I eat and don't eat late. I don't eat late anyway, which is good. But yeah, that's my my blood sugar story from today. All right, let's get some NBA items here. Title's podcast is called "The Frustration of Kawhi" because yes, Kawhi Leonard frustrates me to hell. Let me say this though. Kawhi Leonard to me is, in my lifetime, one of the best playoff big game players I've ever seen. When he is healthy, when Kawhi is healthy, he is easily a top 5 player in the league, even today. Remember having a discussion a couple years ago after he won in Toronto that he was probably the best player in basketball, and I bought into that for a year. Because again, you took the Toronto Raptors to a finals, and yes, they beat the Warriors out Kevin Durant, but still, you won the NBA Finals with the Toronto Raptors. Even if it was out Durant, you still beat Stephen Clay and Draymond, the dynasty. So Kawhi Leonard, for me, in the last couple of years, unfortunately, has been very frustrating. And it's not his fault either. You can't control injuries. You get hurt. And this goes back to the San Antonio years when, they mixed dinos from not once or twice and all that. Whatever. But now you have this series here against the Suns, first round, and Kawhi missed all last year. I mean, he missed he got hurt 2 years ago in the playoffs in the second round of playoffs. Missed the entire conference finals, with a torn ACL, obviously. Missed all of last year, and then this year he was low managed to hell. I remember playing his first game, I think, up the shoot, and he missed 2-3 games after that, and they were literally taking us by the signs with Kawhi for a good while. And then we get to January, February this year, and Kawhi's playing more minutes now. And Kawhi's heating up. And Kawhi's now looking like the same guy that he was in Toronto and before. The MVP, the Finals MVP, 2 times. And now we come to this playoffs. Okay, the Clippers, obviously without Paul George. And Kawhi, game 1, balls out, 38 points. The Clippers steal 1 game in Phoenix. Game 2, he balls out, but loses. But we're thinking, okay, well, Clippers got one game in a row. No Paul George. Look, the Suns probably should win the series because they got Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. But at the same time, Kawhi, and you argue the Clippers have the best bench. So maybe they make up some of Paul George's productivity. Russell Westbrook's playing well, too. You're thinking, well, this might be a 7-game series. Maybe a 7-game series. Did we hear the news last minute? Kawhi's out game 3. Because he injured his I don't know, was his knee, I think it was? Tweaked his knee? Knee sprain? It was a knee sprain, yeah. In game 1, played through in game 2. That's what we're being told. Game 3, he's out. Clippers lose. Then we find out he's out in game 4. Clippers put up a fight, but lose also as well, too. So all of a sudden, we went from a team that was up 1-0 with a chance to win this series, even not Paul George, to 9 down 3-1. And it's so frustrating because Kawhi is so good. But it's frustrating as a basketball fan because he can't stay healthy. And I'm not even a Clippers fan, but if I'm frustrated, could you imagine how Steve Ballmer feels, the owner of the Clippers, and the front office, and Ty Lue, the head coach? They've left a lot on the table because of Paul George's injuries and Kawhi's injuries. So much to the point now that, I heard Stephen A. Smith say something on the First Take. Maybe a little bit egregious, but whatever. I sort of see his point. That Kawhi is the worst superstar in the league's ever seen. The worst superstar. And what he means by that is not to say he's not great. He's saying he's great, but he's never available. Not because it's his fault, but it's just frustrating. And then he doesn't really do anything to help the brand of the Clippers. He's just there. When he's there, obviously, which is rarely, he's fantastic. He's a superstar. But when he's there, he frustrates me. He just does. And I think he has another year in his contract. And if I'm Steve Ballmer and the Clippers front office, I'm just buying my time until his contract is over, because you can't trade him. I mean, you could trade him, I guess, but how many teams take a chance on the guy that's unavailable? You're not gonna get as big a haul for him just because of that fact. If he was healthy, obviously you could. But it's just frustrating because this is another guy. It's like Anthony Davis in a sense. Another guy that, and granted, Kawhi has reached places where, come on, to college, we had no idea this guy would be as good as he is. Hell, I don't even remember who he was prior to him going to San Antonio. Anthony Davis, obviously, a little more disappointing in the sense because Anthony Davis, in my opinion, should be probably the best power forward in the history of basketball. This on talent alone, but he's not because of the fact that he can't stay healthy himself. Kawhi Leonard still reach a higher ceiling than we all thought, but imagine he stays healthy. So it's frustrating as a basketball fan to see that. And he's probably not going to play Game 5 either, I'm imagining. So Suns win the series in 5. But we were robbed of a great series. We were robbed of a series that was probably going to go 7 games. It's bad enough he didn't have Paul George. Kawhi's balling out. Russell Westbrook showed up. He's showing up and showing out. I feel bad for him especially. But, Kawhi, he's just frustrating. I'm a big fan. I think he's a fantastic ball player when he is healthy. So, that's just, lack of stability there in that situation. And, how long the contract is, I'm sure in the back of their minds, they're looking forward to get out of that contract and move forward. Because it's just frustrating. But, speaking of stability, the New York Knicks. The Knicks up 2-1 against the Cavaliers. Today is game 4. As we're recording this on Sunday morning. And I gotta tell you, as someone who loves basketball, has watched basketball for 30-something years, this is the thing with the Knicks right now that I have not seen in about 20-something years. And also, I mean even the Carmelo Anthony years when they went to the playoffs a couple times. The New York Knicks feel stable for the first time in decades. Like, there's no drama with this team. Like, even when they went to the playoffs 2 years ago, it felt a little fluky. 10 years ago in the playoffs, they were a good team, but, that was kind of a in the now, a lot of old role players that were, trying to, last, Jason Kidd on his last legs and all that, and a couple of guys there. Carmelo Anthony was, obviously MVP candidate at the time, but it never felt stable. A lot of drama around that team. This Knicks team, what makes them special to me, obviously they're 5 seed, they won 48 games this year, but what makes this team special to me is I watch this team play, and they feel stable for the first time. I feel like, okay, this is a place that players, and I mean massive stars, outside of James Dolan, of course, and his meddling and all that, for the first time, this team feels like a place that players might want to go to. They feel very stable. I know why it's that way. It's Jalen Brunson. What he's done. And think about what Jalen Brunson's done in the last calendar year. He played with the Dallas Mavericks last year. Dallas Mavericks at this point, at this time last year, were playing in the conference finals. Okay? Shockingly. Losing the Golden State with 5, yes, but they weren't supposed to be in the conference finals. He was a massive piece of that. In fact, remember the first round series against Utah? That when they beat Utah, and we forgot Luka Doncic missed the first couple games of that series? Who was the guy that kept the ship afloat? Jalen Brunson. And all the way through the playoffs, he was the guy. So the Mavs had a chance to keep him on the roster. They didn't. He goes to New York on a looks like a great value deal now today in hindsight. Was it 5 years, 120, and 5 years, 100? So 4 years, 100, something like that. And all he's done now is the Knicks have gone from a team that was a sub-100 team last year to now a middle of the road, but a high 40-win team in a competitive East Right now, it takes a 2-1 lead over the Cavaliers right now, going to game 4 today. Okay. Meanwhile, other side, the Mavericks, unstable. Trade for Kyrie Irving, who's probably obviously more talented than Jalen Brunson, but even with that, couldn't get the job done. It's the reason why I put him on my third All-NBA team, because the fact that, to me, the value of Jalen Brunson goes far as basketball. It just seems like everywhere he played on so far, Dallas and now New York, that team feels stable because of him, or largely because of him. And I have not been able to say about the Knicks in decades. Going back to Patrick Ewing and the Pat Riley years, and even the Van Gundy years. The Knicks stable? No. But yet they are. They are. They feel very stable. And I think a lot of that is because of Jalen Brunson. So shout out to him, of course, for a fantastic year. He was on my All-NBA team, third team, well-deserved, in my opinion, for my vote. But he feels stable. This team feels stable, and it's Jalen Brunson. And they might win this series against Cleveland. So we'll see. But enjoy it. It's later on today, 1 o'clock. But man, the Knicks and stable is something I've never thought I would say, especially with that owner, James Dolan, who's yes, he spends money, but he's also a little bit meddler and petty and not very well liked. Probably still, if not bottom 3, if not worst owner in all sports, in my opinion. But that's my opinion. All right, stay in New York a little bit quick. A little baseball quickly. The New York Mets, very good start to the year. They are at the end of their West Coast trip tonight, with a chance to win that over San Francisco 3 out of 4 games. This has been a very, very good trip. Right now, they are currently 7-2 on the road trip. They've swept Oakland on the front end. Took 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers, which was always fun. And right now, they're taking 2 out of 3 so far against the Giants, with a chance to take 3 out of 4 today to end the road trip. Right now, they are currently, if I look up this record now, they are second in the NL East. Right now, we have Atlanta. And I can get this up real quick. They are currently 14-8 right now, which is technically one of the best records in baseball. One of the best records, not the best record in baseball, but one of the best records in baseball. Tampa's Tampa, of course. Tampa's 18-3 right now currently. But this team looks good. Right now, currently 7-2 on the road trip. Now, they lost Max Scherzer for 10 games due to the he got thrown out of the game a couple days ago for having a certain substance on his hand or glove, whatever it may be. I think that's a blessing, actually, because, Scherzer being on closer to 40, rest is good. And if the team's winning without him anyway, too, so be it. Take your time. It's like last year. I will say this year, and it's only a month in, less than a month in, but I will say it feels like a reversal last year. Remember last year the Mets were in first place the entire year, and even when they got into these big winning streaks, the Braves are right behind them because they were winning as well, too. And then next thing you know, that Braves won division on the last day of the year. Kind of has the same vibe, but in reverse now. Now Atlanta's one hottest team in baseball. They lost 3 in a row now. They lost 3 in a row. So this is kind of strange. The Mets are now only half a game back now. But yeah, but it's kind of like reverse last year. Like I said, not getting ahead of myself. The Mets are, you know how the Mets thing work. They start off great, and then every year, the last couple of years, they tail off and disappoint. Like last year, they playoffs, but lost, playing down in the wild card round against San Diego. But so far, so good. Not a bad start for the year. Like I said, also I'm able to watch a lot. I try. It's hard now because the playoffs are on, and I'm a playoff guy, NBA playoff guy first. But I try to watch as much Mets games as I can. I actually have free access to MLB at Bat, thanks to one of my really good friends, who she gave me access to that because she got the T-Mobile was giving out free access to MLB at Bat if you had a service with them, and she had service with them obviously, but she doesn't watch baseball, so she asked me if I wanted it. I go, absolutely, I'll take that. So that's good stuff there. So anyway, what else on the doc I want to talk about before I get out of here? Oh yeah, Ron DeSantis. A little politics here. So look at polling recently too, with this GOP race. A race that he's not even involved in yet, actually. And all of a sudden, Donald Trump has separated himself in a big way. Of course, if you believe the polls, or DeSantis, and Ron, our governor here, has been taking a lot of hits lately, publicly, and nationally especially too, with some of his positions on things. obviously the trans stuff and, his battle with Disney, which, to be honest with you, I still don't understand that whole thing. I'm still, like, not 100% clear on what he's fighting there and why he has a issue with Disney in the way he does. But now he signed a bill, an abortion bill, where there's a six week abortion ban. It's very controversial, and not just obviously Democrats don't like it. Of course, people on the liberal side don't like it, but that's not a surprise. But even his own constituents are like, questioning, like, what the hell? I don't get it. Now, DeSantis, to his credit, initially his stance was he was okay with a 15-week space. Now he is signed in the middle of the night a couple weeks ago, middle of Friday night, signed a 6-week ban. And wherever you may feel on the abortion argument, that's your piece. I see both sides in terms of, like, as someone myself who was raised pro-life and has now become pro-choice, I've gotten older, understand what pro-choice means. Look, I'm not pro-abortion saying either. I'm not someone saying that I agree with abortions and all that stuff. I'm not there. So I could understand the without using nuance, of course, the argument for not, for being pro-life. Totally get it, because I've been there. But pro-choice is a bigger, to me, the pro-choice argument is it's much more nuanced people get credit for. But here's what I want to focus on here with DeSantis. Forget the pro-life, pro-choice thing. That is what it is. Politically speaking, I don't understand why he's taking this stance. If women's rights is a massive talking point that's tilted elections. Like, it literally tilted the election for the midterms. Like, remember this red wave they were supposed to have? This red wave that Republicans were going to take over the House and the Senate, which never actually happened. They did get the House, but not by the plus 30 points they predicted to have, only plus 8. And they actually lost a seat in the Senate, in fact. And a large reason of that is because of the women's rights issue when Roe v. Wade got overturned. I always say that Democrats do well when there's like chaos or crises they're facing. But I don't understand the play here for DeSantis. Like, is he trying to go further right than Donald Trump to gather his base? Probably. But then in the general election against Joe Biden, whoever it may be, it's not going to be Joe Biden, obviously, that makes you unappealing to independents and moderates, and even some slightly leaning Republicans that are very strong on that stance of pro-choice. I don't understand the play here for DeSantis. That's what I'm confused on. What's the play here? Because I think having that stance is very, and look, if I'm Joe Biden, whoever the Democrat nominee is, it's going to be Joe Biden most likely, but he's being primaried by Robert Kennedy Jr. and who's it, Marianne Williamson. If I'm a Democrat nominee, if I'm Joe Biden, all I have to do is ream him on that alone. For all the gaffes that Joe Biden has, and his issues with controlling inflation and gas price and all that, we learned during these past midterms that women's rights is still a massive, massive issue. Okay, and it's arguably why Republicans did not do well as they thought they would in the midterms. So I don't understand why Ron DeSantis is taking this stance on that. It makes no sense to me. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. It makes no sense to me. I think he's trying to. I think where I'm coming from, I believe he's trying to position himself as the most conservative of the Republicans by moving more right of Donald Trump. Even Donald Trump knows that. Even Donald Trump says that it's not a winning issue. He said himself it's not a winning issue. He takes credit for Roe v. Wade getting overturned because, remember, he had the judges, he put 3 judges in place during his 4-year term. But at the same time, he understands the politics of all this. DeSantis is not. And now, for the record, let's be clear here, DeSantis has not actually decided to run yet. The play is that people believe he's going to run this next cycle, but he hasn't made an official announcement yet on that. So, something to look at. But the polls right now are heavy Trump now. A lot of it has to probably do with the post-indictment stuff. But I also think that the DeSantis stuff also too, with the fact that him coming up on popular positions, even for moderates, is hurting him. I'm just saying. I don't know the play here. I don't know what he's doing here. So, but it still plays out in weeks to come. All right, let's talk a little TV. Ted Lasso. I'm actually an episode behind. I haven't watched the last episode yet. Season 3. It's currently going on right now. Apple Plus, Apple TV. Am I enjoying the season Ted Lasso? Yeah, I'm still enjoying it. Not as good. It's definitely not as good as the first 2 seasons, though. I'll say right now. Kind of feels in the mud a little bit. The show, with the mud, like it's not going anywhere. Like it feels a little unorganized. Like it feels like these storylines are so spread out. Maybe there's a payoff later on in the season. We'll see. There's still another couple episodes to go. But it feels kind of in the mud right now. I was talking to a friend of mine about this, and he actually hates the season so far. I mean, I don't go that far. I've enjoyed moments of it. I think some of the writing has been very witty. But as a whole, it feels like the bloom is off the rose now for the show. But we'll see. We still got another half season to go, and we'll see how it plays out. But the show just does feel like I'm in the mud right now. I'm hearing good things about the last episode, which aired this past week, which I haven't watched yet. It's very popular. The best one is everybody says that it's been the best season, the best episode of the season so far. So we'll see how it plays out. There. Yes, I still love the show, but it feels a little unorganized right now. But we'll see how it plays out. All right, one more thing before I get out of here on this Sunday morning, beautiful morning. I went to my kids at the pool before I watched these playoff games. Cannot wait. HBO Max is now morphing into Max. Discovery, Warner Brothers of all now decided to combine forces. I believe the date is May 23rd officially, and it's Max. It's also going up $1. So instead of $14.99 for the full access to Max, it's going to be now $50.99. But a lot of the criticism about that is mostly headed towards the name change. Read this from our article I read here. At a press conference yesterday, HBO and Max content head Casey Bloys told reporters that the prestige associated with HBO was the reason it was pulled from the name. Quote, I understand and appreciate the passion that people have for the HBO brand. It is HBO brand. It's a premium brand. It's not designed to take on everything in a streaming service. HBO, he says also this, quote, HBO is not TV. HBO is HBO, he said. It needs to stay that way, which is why we will privilege it in the product experience and also not push it to the breaking point by forcing it to take on the full breadth of this new content proposition, said the Warner Brothers Discovery president, J.B. Perrett. So initially when I saw this news, I thought this is a stupid idea because HBO has the bigger brand. The name value alone sells itself. But in reading this and reading what they said here, two things here. I think they're doing this on purpose, number one, to distract from the fact that price is going up. We're going at $1. Okay, so you spend another $1 extra on more content. Which, fine. I'm okay with that because HBO Max has great content. I'll pay for it. And adding more and more content, so be it. Cool. But it does make sense, though, in the end, because I think if what they're saying is true, they're going to segue HBO as its own entity inside the bubble of Max. So you're going to have HBO on its own. You're probably going to have Discovery stuff on its own. Anything else they own would be CNN or MAB on its own. So in seeing the explanation of that, it makes more sense. But I do think that, the HBO name is a much more higher brand a stronger brand than Cinemax and anything else that they have under an umbrella. It makes sense what they're saying, but, you know. And I think they are worried that by putting HBO name on top of everything here, it may actually hurt the HBO brand in the future. Sure, they want to sell that piece to somebody else at some point down the road. I don't know. That's probably the logic here. So, anyway, that was today's podcast, dated April 23rd, 2023. My son's in the room here. Logan, want to say hi to everybody before we get out of here? Say hi.
Hi.
What are you doing?
Doing nothing.
All right, I'm on Twitter at EastChris7, Earnestly Podcast, across all podcast catchers. Check out also my other show, the Earnestly Unfiltered Podcast. We will talk soon. And enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy NBA basketball. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Are you singing the song? Are you singing the song? He's humming the theme song. So, talk to you guys later. God bless y'all. Take care and see ya.